call this meeting to order this morning here on July the 13th. Commissioner Dickinson, would you begin with prayer?
Let us pray. Lord, as we begin the 2022 election season, first we thank you for the opportunity to live in a country that truly has a representative democracy. Next, we ask you to bless our poll workers who did a fantastic job, and also our county employees who installed our equipment. And finally, we want to commend to your attention our two political parties who worked cooperatively to make sure that the polls were maintained, that we had trained people in all voting places, and really set a good example of cooperation that strengthens our democracy. We ask that you extend your hands of comfort and healing over all our county citizens, over this commission, and especially over the family of our great friend and colleague, Leroy Lacy. It is in your name we pray, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I understand there was a terrific traffic jam on the interstate, and I was upstairs in the county offices earlier, and a lot of people had been delayed by that. We are looking at our minutes now from May the 3rd. We had no June meeting because of the primary, and so these are back from May 3. They've been circulated to everyone, and if I could, anybody entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. Okay. Okay, Ms. Ray, are you even ready? I'm not trying to rush you, but.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Making sure this thing was on. Yes, so I have, good morning, everyone, by the way.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have the move report here from, this is March the 10th through April the 12th, April the 13th through May the 2nd, and the May 3rd through July the 12th.
Perfect.
So I'll pass these on down to you. The second thing is, yesterday, I believe, yesterday or the day before, I put in your box this, it's from the Secretary, from Michael Watson's office, Secretary of State. It is it's the Mississippi Voter Modernization Act grant program. I just wanted to let you be aware. I don't know who picked that up from your box, but I just wanted to let you be aware of this.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
And that's about all that I have, other than there was an invoice that was on my desk from Frankie J's Moving. Did you pass this on to
I did.
Okay,
I
just
did.
wanted to make sure
Yes.
that you had already done that.
Okay. Turned it in.
Anita, I have a question. I sent you over a list of potentially disenfranchisable felons from my district. They happen to be Madison County. As you know, I'm fairly new on the commission. What's the procedure for taking action on those folks?
You do not have to do that for Madison County because those individuals already, you do not have to get any paperwork from those because we know about these particular individuals. They're going to automatically show on. It's the people that are not from our county.
So will those, should I purge those people, or will they be purged at some point?
You will do that.
Okay, so I should
Do we
just go
do
ahead
that
and
on
do
the mandatory date?
Yes, on the mandatory date.
Okay, great.
On
Thank
the
you.
mandatory date.
Okay.
It's only the individuals that are from other counties.
Yes, yeah,
that
I know the procedure on that.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And anyway, if you have any other questions for me. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead and apprise everybody of what you and I were discussing yesterday about our contracts.
Okay, so I talked with Bill Lowe yesterday on the contract, and so the contract that we have now goes through 2024. Was that correct? Was
Yes,
that
that's correct.
Yes.
Fine.
Okay, through 2024. But he advised that through written agreement, that we have to, just through written agreement, we have to say, yes, we want to continue this contract through.
What format would that need to be?
He even
do
said
that?
just an email, but I personally think we need to do it, not just through a written, just through an email. I think, they need to sign it, and we personally, either the commission or the board, someone needs to sign it. I think it needs to be.
Well, the last one, the one that we
That's what
have,
I think.
Carl Banks signed
Yes,
it.
yes.
So do you suggest that we go through the Board of Supervisors again? But the one that I have, now you may have one later than I do. I only have it for 33 DS200s and
brought
14.
Brought them both.
Oh, you did? So I need a copy of the one
I will get that for you.
with the new one, so,
Matter of fact,
and
I
if
can
you
make a
will
copy.
draft up what you need for me to take before the Board of Supervisors to get them to sign it, or whatever you need me to do, I'll be glad to.
Beyond that, I would suggest if we're going to send a letter like that and sign off on it, we probably need to have an internal discussion as to if there's any things that we want them to be working on to improve their services to us. And that should be mentioned in that letter. I'm not saying there is. We have to have that
That sounds
discussion.
good. It's a lot of money, and
That's
I
right.
think that makes sense. And it sounds like we have time since it's 2024, so I'll,
Well, but one of them does this month, I thought, didn't it? Or does it still go?
This is just for the lease.
through
This is for the
December.
lease. of
December.
The equipment lease.
I think anytime you're continuing a relationship with a vendor, that's your opportunity to direct the vendor in directions that you think would be helpful to the relationship. And again, if we're totally satisfied with everything they've done, I suppose we ought to just tell them that too. But, generally, when you're signing a contract with a vendor, that's the time to bring things to their attention.
I just want to explain that when I get an invoice, if I don't have that lease agreement or whatever, that agreement,
Contract.
contract behind it, they will not pay it. So whatever, I mean, if we want to make a separate, something about their services or whatever, okay, but for us to have our machines maintained, I have to have that agreement or contract
And it has to have the correct number of machines on it.
match everything with that invoice, or the county won't pay it.
when does it expire?
2024, but I don't think it's enough machines, is what I'm trying to say.
So we've bought machines at different increments, and so we have a contract that covers this set, and then we have a contract that covers the new set.
But I don't have that contract.
And I don't either.
So the letter or agreement that we send them should update to the total number of machines that we have.
Total, yes.
So that we have that to back up and pay invoices.
Right.
So anyway,
But I think it's gonna take some finessing to get all the details that need to go in it. Or am I wrong, Anita?
Yes, Bill's supposed to get back in touch with me today,
Okay,
and, because he was on the road yesterday, and he
Okay.
said he wanted to look over it last night, and he's supposed to get back in touch with me today.
I just was wanting to be sure we didn't let it fall through the
what I
crack,
told
you
him.
know, to where we had continuous coverage, so.
So I went and pulled out both
let me see that new one you have.
contracts.
And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, and maybe you can tell us next time, but we need to get a new total of what we've got, because some were purchased with grant money and some were purchased out of the budget, and So in my mind, I need to put a list up in front of my desk that says we've got this many, whatever.
We do have some that are under warranty that need to have some repairs.
Right, okay, okay. Thank you. All right, we're moving down to number 6, and since we were in a, excuse me, an election cycle, we were not doing anybody inactive, so, and this time, we only have purges, but we went back and carried it from our last meeting, in April up and through, the 5th of July. And so District 1,
34,
District 2,
40,
District 3, 24, District 4,
46.
and District 5, 37. If you'll answer that and put it on speaker, I believe that's Leroy calling.
Hi, Leroy. Hold on, I'm going to put you on speaker. Got you? I did. Leroy, can you hear?
Yes.
Okay, good. We got you on speakerphone. Yeah, he's on speaker.
Yeah.
Let me crank it up. Okay, we've got you.
We had just mentioned the purges, and I went ahead and said you're 37, and we're ready for a motion.
so moved.
second,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, motion passes. Is there any old business?
I don't have any.
Ms. Pat, Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I don't know if this considered old business, just in case I get knocked off. One of the things that I got back from the past primary election and the runoff is that since we've gone to these new machines, will we make a mention to order stylists for the people complain about having to go behind somebody else?
Okay. To order styluses for the
Oh,
machines.
okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that'd be fine, I think.
Yes, I think that's a good idea.
Okay. All right, thank you. We kind of did listen, since we're on that subject, we kind of did a slight critique of it, just informally. Does anybody want to speak to any of the issues they may have encountered? I'll start with you, Lauren.
Really, I encountered two major issues, or not major, but could have disrupted the day had they not been corrected. One of my precincts did not have the power cord to go to the electronic voting machine. And then two of my precincts received the wrong DS200, switched the USBs, but we ended up being able to get that fixed. Those are the only two large issues that I really experienced on Election Day, either on June 7th or June 28th.
Okay, well, that's great considering we had to quickly punt and use a different delivery system and everything. And so I'm delighted with having the county help. We were able to make it happen this time. So we deeply appreciate that. District 4.
Couple of things. Overall, I thought it went quite well. Certainly the shift to where we had the county employees available on delivering and picking up the machines was a major improvement. Without that, we did have some problems that we had to rush to correct before Election Day. Second thing, even though we have emphasized proper handling of affidavit votes, we still had some examples where they were not properly handled. I think we need to put our heads together and figure out what we can do. We've already discussed this, as you know, to improve that aspect of our system. But on the whole, the polls opened on time. Everybody got to vote. I think it went pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a good trial run with us to bring out the equipment for this 2 elections, and we kind of see some things we'd like to do a little differently.
Right.
But we have already begun talking about securing training sites and doing that in the future. some people say we need to do it closer to the election. Well, that's just impossible, because that last 2 weeks, you're having to actually process everything that's going to go out to the precinct, and we can't be doing training at those late hours, but we are trying to have as many training sessions as possible, and so we are diligently working on that.
The only issue that I saw in this election was with the tablets, and I think that's why we had more affidavits than we normally have, but something about the date of birth, and I don't think that we got it across enough that how to exit out and to go back in and type their name in to find them. So I just don't think the poll workers understood how to do that. And I think if it's going to happen again in November, that's what we really, really got to concentrate on. And I agree with Dan. Affidavits is I've always taught that's the most important thing to me. But we'll get with Anita and make sure about that date of birth on that tablet. And if it's still going to happen in November, we as election commissioners have got to focus on our poll workers, that's what they have to do. So that's all I have.
And I'm hoping, and I know this is probably a pipe dream, but I would like for us to train as much as possible by precinct. I'd like to bring the people in, and I'd like to know already what their job is, if they're going to be the floater, or if they're going to be filling out affidavits, or exactly not waiting till the 9th hour to decide what people are going to be doing. Train in those fashions, divide into groups. You don't need to know everything about the election unless you're the manager, the returning receiving manager. If you're going to be the initialing manager, you have a set of duties. If you have the capability of setting up the machines, you have certain duties. And so I think if we would be more specific about what each person's job is, then I think that will help us in the going forward. Ms. Ray?
I totally agree.
I think that's an excellent point, Pat.
My pros and cons from my takeaway and from the election from the managers on that particular end is that they was appreciative of that managers training by themselves. First of all, they was appreciative of that. And second of all, they began to learn these new tablets. So this was really a test run, whether we accept it or not. But it really was.
Right.
But in the future, we're going to have to look among ourselves, and our district is for is poll workers. Because the retention is not there. They only do this for a day.
Right.
And so the retention is not there. It now is going to require people that's semi-computer literacy, and whether you like it or not. That's the way it is now. That's the machines that we have. And so anybody just can't be a poll worker that's past time. They can work at the polls, but they cannot run those machines, and that's where you're getting your issues at, because they can't retain it when it's time for elections.
That's exactly
Valid
right.
point.
Well, I think those are all good things, and I think we've all made notes, and we'll work towards that as we get closer to the election and setting up training and that sort of thing. Is there any other comment?
I have a comment. We had one poll manager for District 1, Arlette Thompson, who did a survey of, she called them friends of Arlette's that worked at the polls throughout the county, and she's provided us with the results of that survey. It is extremely valuable feedback for us in our roles as election commissioners,
Very good recommendations.
and will help us going forward in November. So I would like to say thank you on the record to her for that, and let the people know that we are listening. We do have their comments, and we are going to take them under advisement.
What was her name again?
Arlette Thompson.
Okay.
Okay, any further? All right, let's move on to new business then. We have before us some people that have requested permanent absentee status. There's one from District 2, and would you bring it up?
I have Miss Elizabeth East. She did present a physician's certificate that is signed and dated. I move that we approve her for the permanent absentee list.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion pass. All right, I have one for District 3, Mary Sullivan, and her paperwork seems to be in order, and so I make a motion that we put Miss Sullivan on the list.
Second?
Seconded by Dan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and the third one is District 4.
I have an application from Shelley Prim. I've examined the application. There's proper documentation of the medical need for this voting process, and I recommend and move that it be approved.
Second.
Motion seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, we've got 3 more added then. All right, let's move down to item D, which is a form that Commissioner Dickinson was going to mention.
During the election, we had a couple of cases where equipment was damaged and got to the polls. In one case, it's not been thoroughly investigated, but it may have been damaged in the primary and then somehow got back to the poll during the runoff. A common system that is used in business, I know I was a corporate quality director for a fairly important company, is what's called a red flag for non-conforming equipment. I've got an example here which I'm displaying, but what you do with a red flag is when you have damaged equipment found by our poll workers or poll managers, they identify the precinct, they give it the type, a scanner, for example, a poll book, whatever it may be, and the serial number of the unit. That is very important for traceability. They briefly describe the problem. They tell you who they are and give you your phone number so you can call them if you need some details about what they saw that was wrong. Then the red flag is taped onto the machine itself so the people who are recovering our equipment will know that they have a piece of equipment that's in question when it comes back to the warehouse. And second, a copy of this is included in probably the 3-ring binder so that we get it and we're aware of it. When ESS gets it, they take a look at it. Now, they may find that the person simply didn't know how to operate the equipment and that the equipment is perfectly fine and it's suitable for use. That tells us we've got a training issue. Or they may find that it's damaged and can be repaired and will be repaired, or they may find it's so badly damaged that it's got to be scrapped. But they disposition it, and then before it can be put back into circulation, we have to, either the election commissioner or the circuit clerk has to go down and take a look at it, make sure they start it up, make sure it operates properly, and only when we've signed off on it does it get returned to service. And if we do this, we can get a trend line going of what pieces of equipment we're having the most trouble with and hopefully avoid any situations where a piece of equipment that's already been identified as problematic ends up on the poll in the next election day. I can tell you I've used this system in something like 25 plants. It works really well. I know other businesses use it. And I think it would help us here at the Election Commission.
Dan, would your recommendation be, since we're going to have a copy on the actual machine and then a copy returned to the Election Commission, for us to be able to get this in a duplicate or triplicate form?
If we could do that. But I wouldn't wait for it. If you can get it in a duplicate form, that's the best thing. Typically I had them in tear-off forms. But even if we have to just print up 2 of them and hope that we can get them to do it, it'll be better than a situation where bad equipment could get back into the system.
Then my other concern is if we're taping it to the machine, what guarantee do we have that it's still taped to the machine once it gets back to us after transport?
That's a training issue with ESS and also with our encounter employees. So they need to know when they see that red tag on it, that's got to stay there, and if it seems like ripped off, make sure they have some tape with it so that when it gets back to ESS, it's still on the machine. But remember, we'll have a copy, and we'll have the serial number, so we can still track it back through the warehouse to find out which was the one that was called into question.
I have a recommendation from Ms. Ray. I wanted to get your input, and we've not had time to discuss it with you. So I would like to table this until we can discuss with you, because you are the custodian of the equipment, and we are not trying to step over into your.
That's why I put your name on it.
But anyway, let's table this until next month, because I think it is something we need to explore and get with Ms. Ray and get her feeling about it, and then go forward with that. So I make a motion that we table this.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
You made the motion. Did somebody
I
second?
seconded it.
Okay. Pat, and then second.
okay, thank y'all. All right, Helen has typed up here for some items for surplus. You want to read us your
You
list?
want me to read all that?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, okay, Missy. 3 shelf bookcases, 2 drawer red secure file, a rolling file stand, wooden shelf, large wooden shelf top, 4 drawer metal file, assorted metal file holders, wire basket, 23 assorted red bags, 158 assorted 3-ring binders, 40 assorted bags, and a box of ballot pens.
Pencils.
Pencils.
I'm sorry, pencils.
I move to surplus these items.
Second.
Discussion.
Hey.
Hard work.
Get it out of the office.
We did have the inventory clerk come over and check it and help us with deciding what format and all he needs on it. And so it's separated into an area in our office that it can be moved out. And so the bags and things are bags that have lost their wheels off the bags, the canvas is torn, the zippers won't work, things that make them not useful as election equipment. And so we were asking to have these things taken off. Okay,
Okay.
all right. I lost track. Did we vote?
We moved and seconded, but we didn't vote.
That's what I thought, Lauren. Thank you. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're up to you, Mr. Spence.
Okay. I've got my bill, and it's from the last 3 months, but it's not too bad. It's been a light summer since the
Thank you.
political parties did so well with their primary elections. There weren't a lot of issues. And I'll appreciate you raising that contract issue on the extension with ES&S. And glad to help, look at that contract and help with that process with the board of supervisors and circuit clerk's office. So just keep me in the loop on it, and I'm glad you flagged that. So I'm glad the primary elections went so well. I think the general's going to be good too. So.
Okay.
Move to pay Spence.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion pass.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll pass that one back around to Spence. All right, we're down to comments from election commissioners. District 1.
Well, I just want to thank all of us, me included. We have worked really hard the last week cleaning up our office. It looks amazing. Once that all our garbage is gone, we may have room to, like we got room to move around. So just thank y'all. It's just hard work, and we're all sore and all that, but good job.
District 2.
To piggyback on what Helen said, the office is getting cleaned and rearranged and much needed organization in place. I'm very excited about that. Everything's going in clear bins so that we can see our supplies. We know exactly what we need to order. It's going to make packing our bags this fall so much easier on all of us and knowing what inventory we have and what we don't.
All right, is that all? Okay. District 3, I had spoken with the county administrator this morning, and they will be having budget hearings within the next 2 weeks, and they will give us a memo letting us know when ours is. And I'll keep you apprised if there's anything that we need to add to what was submitted for our budget request. District 4.
Dittos on the cleanup. Anybody who's been in the office before will not recognize the place in about a week. Second, we had our new poll books. There were a couple of problems, but I think overall people were very happy with the new poll books. It really will make the system better, process more voters more cleanly, more efficiently, with greater security. Big improvement.
All right, Mr. Lacy.
Yeah, well, I think some of y'all may already have signed up or know about the summer trainings and realize you got to pick a date and where you're going to go, which I'm sure all of you are aware of that by now. And secondly, the Secretary of State did reach out and say that in your budget you may have already included, because your pay raise that I was able to help acquire. I know it wasn't what we wanted, but it went into effect July 1st, and so it has to be in your budget in order to realize it going forward. But I want everybody to take advantage of the summer training that we have scheduled around and about, and I think everybody's going to be happy with this new conference that's going on. A lot of things is going to be some difference for all of us, in a good way, I believe. So I think everybody will be happy as time go ahead. We have a meeting Saturday at the board, we can, and so then our new website is up. I don't know if y'all taking advantage of that, but we got a new website built, and so it's going to be easier to get on. I think it's supposed to be doing actions August the 1st now, but it should look different, and a lot more information should be put out there. That's what's going on around the state.
Okay, I'm
That's
glad
all right.
you mentioned that. I did put in the budget, but it won't take effect until October on our pay raise. But it is in our budget request, so.
Well, just a reminder from the Secretary of State to me, I'm just reminding us to make sure we put it in there.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments?
I have one that I did fail to mention earlier, because it does affect the general election. School board, qualification for 1st and 2nd district will begin, I'm saying this because we will not have another meeting between now and August.
Right.
School board qualification does begin August, I believe it's August the 1st, and it goes through September the 1st. I believe that's the dates. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe that's the dates. But I did want to mention that. But it's for 1st and 2nd district school board qualification. And it will be on the ballot in November.
Okay,
I just had failed to mention that. I just wanted to say that.
great, thank you. All right. Okay, well, if there is nothing further, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, good meeting. See y'all soon.